My name is Pilar O'Connor and I'm an artist. I work with a lot of textiles and fibers, and specifically I make sewn felt on canvas works. The title of my exhibition is called Concrete Kisses. And to me, I chose this title because concrete kisses is something that I like to say to myself sometimes when I take a fall or I get injured or I get bruised when I'm usually doing one of the hobbies that I love to do. Usually it's skateboarding or playing football. And yeah, a lot of the times I get bruised easily doing when I'm playing, and I choose to look at those bruises as more of a kiss as opposed to an injury. And it's more so just like a mentality switch that I like to have, because it's, instead of thinking of it as a bad thing, you can switch your perspective and think of it as more of a get back up and try again and learn your lesson, try again. And so, yeah, a lot of the works in the show represent that mentality of, learning from failures or learning from falls and changing your perspective to try something new again. And the things that I love to do, my hobbies, have really taught me that in my life. I blend a lot of textiles and graphic elements and urban culture into my art. And I do that because that's kind of how I see the world and how I experience the world. I grew up in a city, and I've always lived in different cities. I'm from San Francisco and then lived in New York, and now have been living in Barcelona. And kind of those urban environments have really affected the way I see the world. And I've always been super drawn to visual and tactile elements when I'm looking. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that I'm really drawn to colors and textures. And ever since I was super little, I really liked, I was really attracted to those senses. And so I think the way that I look out into the world, my eye is really drawn to those elements, be it colors and textures. And so, in my work specifically, I've chosen to use those elements as super strong components in my pieces, being they always use pretty bold color palettes, and they always have some typographic elements, and then I use a lot of textiles and felt to specifically make them, and I sew them together. And the compositions themselves are usually urban landscape themes and take place in the cities that I've formed a lot of my memories and kind of concepted different dreams of mine. So yes, I designed the poster for Moments Festival this year, and I was super happy to do that. And the elements that I tried to invoke within the poster were some aspects of the culture that I've experienced since living here in the country this past year and a half. And that being said, those elements that I really appreciate and tried to invoke in the piece were the concept of living in a more intentional way, in a slower way, and really appreciating and enjoying the day-to-day small moments with different types of people. And I think in my work in general, that's been a main theme in the past, where it's just trying to capture people who come from different backgrounds and have a lot of different interests, and somehow they live in harmony together. And a lot of the times, to me, living in cities, public plazas or parks have been the main places that I will see that harmony in a public way. And so when I was thinking about how I wanted to capture that type of energy in a piece for the poster for Moments. I really wanted to capture an idea of like a typical Spanish plaza where there's beautiful architecture in the background and a lot of energy of people living in the apartment or in the flats in the background, and then in the foreground having a bunch of different people doing what they love and doing it with people that they love, and in a way that kind of creates an energy that's super harmonious. Skateboarding plays a really big role in my life. I would say art came first in my life, but then skateboarding, then football came second actually, and then skateboarding came later. But they all played a pretty equal role, because even when I looked back on my old art, like when I made when I was really little, like 5 years old and then on, like a lot of the times I would find like a sculpture of a cardboard skateboard, and this was before I even started skating. And this is because, I don't know, I think I just, growing up in San Francisco, it was always really around me and I was always really curious about it. And so even before I actually started myself, which wasn't until I actually didn't even start until in my 20s. And so it was later on where I actually got the time and the patience to learn it myself and to teach it myself, and to go out there and do it. But like before, in my childhood, it was always a pretty strong subject in like just my curiosity, and therefore it came up in like my artwork when I was just playing around when I was little. And but today, now, I would say it's like used, and I skateboard and I still play soccer, and I use my hobbies in this way where it really allows me to balance my creativity with more, and like take off some pressure, and making art and making my work as something that's an outlet, just in the same way that like skateboarding or playing soccer to me is an outlet. And I think the balance of all of them is something that's allowed me to give them all like breathing room. My background is in digital work and graphic design specifically, and my artwork I work a lot with sewing and sewing textiles. And so I think the combination of those two has really impacted my work, just because when I used to think about my digital work, it was I would put a lot of pressure on it, and I would think that had to be my medium. And it wasn't until I kind of got to a place in my life where I refound sewing, and I refound like making a lot of things with my hand and using fabric in a way that allowed me to, get out of the digital world and into playing with my hands essentially. And that was that opened up like a bigger world of possibilities for me creatively, because I think I took less pressure off myself in this one way that I had been making in this one medium, and I opened it up to a new medium. And to me, like I first started making apparel, and after I started making mainly using graphic design as my medium, then I started simultaneously making apparel. And from making apparel, that's how I first started using felt and as a material. And like from there, eventually through years of making apparel and doing making a lot of letters with felt, like I started to make more images and compositions, and that's kind of how I landed on the medium that I'm working in now. But I would say like I don't necessarily always bring graphic design and digital media into my felt works. every time, but like there have been some projects where I have, and that's been really interesting. Like I had last year, I did a project with Phillips Auction House, and they asked me to do make a piece of their gallery and then do an animated portion of that as well. And so I basically did a stop motion type of animation where I like moved each felt character individually, like for each frame, and then like brought it into a digital format, and was able to turn my piece into an animated digital media piece. And that was really interesting because I hadn't done something like that before, and it was exciting and challenging, but ultimately I would like to do maybe more longer form video content using mixing the mediums that I work with, essentially. Yeah, so some upcoming projects that I'm really excited about are in the new year, and they more or less, they haven't been publicly announced, but so I can't talk too much about them, but at the same time I'm really excited about them because they're in within the skateboarding industry, which I'm really I love and I'm a part of, but it's nice to be excited about projects within that space, and they involve like some apparel projects and some board graphics that I'm really excited about. And I think it'll be pretty cool to see my medium of like sewing felt on a piece of apparel or on a board graphic in a way that it's not usually seen in that way. And then the way that I see my practice expanding in the coming years, I would say, like I would love to expand it both through medium and also through concepts, I would say, like mediums. Even in the show, like I started expanding my medium a little bit, and I've made some soft sculpture works, and those have been really fun because it's been something that I've been more excited about in the past year. And thinking about more in the past year, so it was fun to explore it through this show. And I would love to do that more. I would love to make more like physical objects beyond just canvas, I would say. And then conceptually, like I am really looking forward to future series that kind of expand upon like similar themes that I've worked with, but push the concept a little bit more.